Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Her name was Lily Anderson, a 22-year-old woman with an almost palpable innocence. Her clear eyes reflected the purity of her heart, and her simple life in a quiet little town had never prepared her for the excesses of the wealthy world. She dreamed of true love, tenderness, and sincere gestures, far removed from pretense and social niceties. He, Alexander Drake, was a famous millionaire, with a colossal fortune and a magnetic aura. Women fell at his feet, fascinated by his charisma, his calculated smile, and his power. But behind this facade hid a man capable of anything to get what he wanted. Their meeting had been a chance encounter orchestrated by fate, or perhaps by Alexander's own will. A sumptuous evening, a dazzling gala, and Lily, despite her shyness, had found herself in this glittering world of luxury and decadence. Every gesture from Alexander, every glance he gave her, drew her in like a magnet, and she felt her heart beat faster, both intrigued and frightened. That night, the first night she spent by his side, everything would change. Lily's innocence clashed with Alexander's burning passion. She was about to discover a world where desire, power, and secrets intertwined dangerously, and where nothing would ever be the same again. One night could be enough to transform an entire life. Lily no longer knew where she was, or how she had gotten there. The dim lights of Alexander Drake's luxurious suite cast golden reflections on the walls, and every object seemed to exude wealth and power. White satin sheets covered the enormous bed, and a soft warmth enveloped the room. Alexander approached her with calculated elegance. His scent, both captivating and penetrating, sent shivers down her spine. He made each gesture with precision, observing Lily's reaction like a master analyzing a fragile work of art. "Don't be afraid," murmured, his deep voice resonating like an ominous promise. She shook her head slightly, unable to formulate a reply. Everything within her screamed for caution, but her heart beat faster, trapped by Alexander's magnetic pull. Every glance, every smile, every touch seemed to draw her inexorably towards him. The first hand on her cheek made her tremble. The sensation was both new and terribly intimate. Lily felt her innocence collide with a desire she had never known, a fire that consumed her slowly but surely. Alexander knelt before her, his eyes searching for hers. "Tonight, everything changes, Lily. You'll never be the same again," he said softly, with a certainty that made her shiver. And then it was as if time stood still. The barriers she had erected crumbled before the passion and intensity of this man. The first night was not simply a night, it was a turning point, a passage where Lily's innocence mingled with a world she did not yet understand, but to which she would now be forever bound. When dawn broke, Lily watched Alexander sleep. She felt her heart change, marked by the depth of the night. She understood that her life had just turned upside down, that nothing would ever be simple again, and that the road ahead would be both dangerous and irresistibly fascinating. Sunlight filtered through the heavy velvet curtains, softly illuminating the suite. Lily sat on the edge of the bed, her hands clasped in her lap, still reeling from the emotions of the previous night. Every memory sent shivers down her spine, Alexander's scent, his hands, his voice, everything seemed to have left an indelible mark on her. Alexander woke up slowly, his gaze fixed on her. He smiled, but this smile was not that of a simple seducer, it was calculated, powerful, and capable of reading Lily's thoughts without her needing to speak. "So, do you realize what just happened?" he asked, his voice soft but full of promise. Lily looked away, feeling a warmth rise in her cheeks. She wanted to speak, but no words seemed enough. Everything within her oscillated between excitement and fear. She understood that she had just crossed a line, a border she never imagined she would cross. Alexander approached and placed his hand on hers. "Don't worry. You haven't lost anything of yourself. But you've gained something, something you'll only have with me." That sentence made her shiver. There was not only seduction in his words, there was the certainty of a man used to getting everything, and a world whose rules she did not yet know. Lily stood up, trembling but determined to regain her composure. She had to understand what she was feeling and what she wanted. But deep down, a forbidden, excited, and curious part of her refused to leave. She knew Alexander would become much more than just a memory. He would be a constant, irresistible, and inescapable presence in her life. As she left the room to get dressed, she heard Alexander whisper behind her. "You're mine, Lily. And you don't even know it yet." A shiver ran down her spine. She knew that this first night was just the beginning of a dangerous, intense, and irresistibly passionate journey. Her life had just changed forever, and she would have to navigate between desire, innocence, and the ruthless world of Alexander Drake. Lily had never seen such wealth in her life. Alexander took her to his main villa, a vast estate overlooking the city, with perfectly manicured gardens, shimmering fountains, and works of art that seemed to tell ancient stories. Every detail spoke of an almost unreal power and opulence. "Welcome to my world," said Alexander, opening the doors to a vast living room, where the morning light danced on the golden walls. Lily stood speechless, unable to speak. She felt small, almost insignificant in the face of such grandeur, but a part of her couldn't help but be fascinated. Every glance from Alexander seemed to remind her that she now belonged to this world, whether she wanted to or not. They spent the morning together, Alexander showing her his offices, his collection of luxury cars and his private art gallery. Lily listened, amazed and a little intimidated, feeling at every moment the influence this man had over her. But behind the magnificence, there were rules. Alexander was not a simple man. He expected excellence, obedience, and a silent understanding of the codes of his world. Lily quickly realized that her naivety would be put to the test. "I know all of this might seem overwhelming to you," Alexander murmured as they found themselves on the balcony, overlooking the city, "but you'll learn quickly. And the longer you stay by my side, the more you'll understand that every action, every choice, has meaning." Lily felt her heart beat faster. This world was tempting, dangerous, and exciting. And deep down, a part of her fear coexisted with an almost irresistible fascination. She knew she would have to reinvent herself, learn quickly, or risk losing herself in this whirlwind of luxury and desire. As she gazed at the glittering city, hand in hand with Alexander, Lily felt a silent transformation taking place within her. She was no longer simply Lily Anderson, the innocent girl from the small town. She was becoming Lily Drake, and this new world was only just beginning to shape her. Lily no longer knew where to place her feelings. Every moment spent with Alexander was a tempest, desire, fascination, but also fear and doubt. She felt her innocence waver, confronted with a world she had never imagined. Seated in the vast living room, she watched Alexander discuss business with implacable authority. His charisma was hypnotic, every word measured, every gesture precise. And yet, when he turned toward her, this power seemed to transform into an intense, almost possessive attention. "You seem troubled," he remarked, his gaze penetrating. Lily lowered her eyes, unable to lie. I don't know if I'm ready for all of this," she murmured. Alexander approached, gently, but with that aura of natural dominance that belonged to him. "Ready or not, Lily, you are here now. And I won't let you run away from what you are becoming." Those words sent a shiver down Lily's spine. There was something dark behind that certainty, an almost frightening intensity. She wanted to resist, to keep her innocence intact, but a part of her longed to let herself be swept away, to explore the mixture of passion and power that Alexander embodied. That night, in the privacy of their own home, the conflict reached its peak. Every touch, every caress, was a reminder that Lily's innocence was no longer the same. She found herself seeking Alexander's gestures, anticipating his touches, all the while inwardly reproaching herself for being seduced by this forbidden world. "You see, Lily," he murmured as he held her close to him, "what you're feeling isn't a coincidence. You're discovering a version of yourself you didn't know existed." Lily closed her eyes, torn between fear and desire. She understood that this relationship would never be simple. Alexander wasn't just a millionaire, he was a challenge, a whirlwind of emotions and power that would transform her, whether she wanted it or not. As she finally drifted off to sleep, her thoughts swirled. She wondered if she could truly resist, or if she would let herself be swept away by this man capable of changing her life forever. And deep down, a disturbing truth dawned on her: she hadn't yet imagined just how irreversible this transformation would be. In the days that followed, Lily quickly learned that life with Alexander was not just about luxury and passion, it was woven with mysteries and secrets that he only revealed little by little. One evening, as they dined in his vast dining room, Lily noticed a telephone lying on the table. Several messages and calls seemed to be related to important matters, contracts she herself didn't dare imagine. She realized that behind the charming man hid a formidable strategist, a master of control and influence. "You're probably wondering who I really am," said Alexander, as if he were reading her thoughts. Lily blushed, a little intimidated. "Yes. I suppose I only know a part of you," she confessed. He smiled mysteriously, a smile that could both seduce and unsettle. "There are things you'll discover in due time, Lily. But know one thing, nothing here is left to chance. Everything you see, everything you feel, it's intentional." This revelation unsettled her. This whole world, all this passion, seemed orchestrated to captivate her, transform her, and bind her to it in a way she didn't yet understand. She began to wonder if she had truly chosen to be there, or if she had fallen into a game whose rules she didn't know. In the following nights, Alexander shared fragments of his past, his family, his struggles, and the reasons that had made him the powerful man he was today. Lily listened attentively, fascinated, but also a little worried. There was an intensity to his words, a depth that left nothing to chance. "You're special, Lily. And you need to understand that nothing I do is by chance. You and we both have a role to play," he murmured one evening, as she fell asleep against him. Lily felt her heart beat faster. She understood that the relationship with Alexander wasn't just passionate, it was strategic, profound, and would change her forever. She had to decide if she wanted to stay in this complex and seductive world, or try to preserve what little innocence she had left. And deep down, she already knew that curiosity, desire, and fascination would prevail. Lily was beginning to understand that life with Alexander wasn't all passion and luxury. Behind the closed doors of his offices and homes, a world of rivalries, conflicts, and secrets existed. Alexander's affairs were numerous, and every decision had consequences invisible to those around him. One afternoon, while accompanying him to an important meeting, Lily saw this ruthless world for the first time. The men and women around Alexander watched him with a mixture of respect, envy, and fear. Some whispered behind his back, and Lily felt that her companion's every move was being scrutinized, analyzed. "You see, Lily," Alexander murmured, sliding his hand down her back, "here, everyone has ambition. Some are loyal, others just want to destroy you. You have to learn to read intentions." Lily felt a pang of unease. She wasn't used to this kind of world where every smile could hide betrayal, where every compliment could be a trap. But she quickly understood that to stay by his side, she had to adapt, observe, and learn to navigate this complex world. That evening, back at the villa, Alexander led her into another part of his world, social life, made up of lavish parties, private dinners, and influential circles where the slightest misstep could be costly. Lily was both fascinated and terrified. Everyone seemed to be playing a role, and she had to quickly learn to discern who was sincere and who was manipulating. Yet, despite the complexity and sometimes the danger of this world, a certainty was growing within her: she did not want to run away. She wanted to understand, to master, and above all to stay close to Alexander, even if it meant putting aside a part of her innocence. That night, as she lay down beside him, Lily felt a newfound determination awaken within her. She knew that the challenges ahead would be numerous, that temptations and dangers would test her heart and mind. But one thing was clear: she would not be broken, and she would face this world, hand in hand with Alexander. Lily woke up that morning with a strange but exciting feeling. She was no longer just the shy young woman who had crossed the threshold into Alexander's world, she felt she could now belong there. Every encounter, every observation of the past few days had sharpened her mind, and she was beginning to understand the unspoken rules of this universe. During a business lunch, Alexander introduced Lily to a group of influential investors. Instead of hiding behind him as she would have done a few days earlier, she spoke confidently, asking pertinent questions and commenting on certain points with surprising intelligence. All eyes turned to her, some intrigued, others impressed. Alexander, at her side, looked at her with a mixture of pride and desire. "I knew you were capable of more than you thought possible," that he whispered in her ear. This closeness, this mixture of seduction and recognition, made Lily's heart beat faster. She understood that her relationship with him was not only based on desire or attraction, there was a mutual admiration being born, and she felt that Alexander now respected her intelligence and strength of character. That evening, in the privacy of their bedroom, their passion exploded with a new intensity. Lily was no longer simply seduced and fragile, she was bold, confident, and this boldness awakened something in Alexander that she had never seen before. His gestures were both tender and possessive, as if he recognized that she could now stand up to her world without losing herself. "You surprise me a little more each day," that he murmured between kisses, "and that's exactly what I wanted you to become." Lily smiled, aware of her transformation. The innocent girl of the past was gone, she had become a woman capable of navigating this complex world, while still retaining a part of her essence. And the more confident she felt, the more their passion became electric, profound, and irresistible. That night, Lily understood that she was no longer simply attracted to Alexander. She was now an integral part of his world, a partner, a force in the making, ready to face whatever the future held for them. Lily was beginning to understand that Alexander was not just a man of passion and power, he carried with him deep secrets, buried wounds and mysteries that not even luxury and seduction could hide. One evening, when they were alone in his private library, Alexander sat opposite her, an unusual expression on his face. The dim lights made the leather-bound books around them gleam, but the atmosphere was heavy, almost solemn. "It's time you knew some things," he said softly. Lily felt her heart race. She knew this moment would change their relationship even more. Alexander began to recount episodes from his past, betrayals, losses, and difficult choices that had shaped him. He spoke of his family, how he had had to fight to acquire his empire, and the enemies who had repeatedly tried to destroy him. Every word revealed a man who was both powerful and vulnerable, a mixture of strength and loneliness. "This world you see, Lily," he murmured, "it's just a facade. Behind every smile and every success, there are battles that no one sees." Lily felt a surge of compassion and fascination. She understood that Alexander's intensity, his possessive gestures, and his sometimes almost brutal seduction reflected a complex and solitary life. She realized that to be by his side, she had to accept these shadows, understand his wounds, and navigate with him through this world of passion and strategy. This revelation shook her, but it didn't make her back down. On the contrary, she felt a deeper bond forming between them. Lily's innocence had vanished, replaced by a keen awareness of the complexity of the man she loved and the world she was now immersed in. Alexander approached, taking her in his arms. "You are the only one who sees what no one else sees," he murmured, "and that's why I want you to stay with me." Lily felt a warmth flood her body and heart. She knew she could never go back. Every secret uncovered, every intimate confession, strengthened their bond and their passion, while also preparing her for the even greater challenges that lay ahead. Life with Alexander was no longer just about passion and seduction, it was now filled with invisible dangers. Lily began to understand that behind every smile, behind every friendly gesture, sometimes lay hidden, dubious intentions. One morning, as they arrived at one of his main offices, a group of executives was waiting for them. Some faces wore fake smiles, others defiant looks. Lily immediately sensed the tension in the air. These people weren't just there to discuss business, they were there to test, challenge, and perhaps destabilize Alexander. "Don't worry, Lily," he murmured, taking her hand, "that I know how to handle these people. But observe carefully." Lily watched intently, fascinated. She saw Alexander maneuver with almost supernatural ease, his words were precise, his gestures calculated, and every silence seemed meaningful. She understood that this world was a subtle battleground, where the slightest mistake could be exploited. But what impressed Lily most was the way Alexander protected her, placing her in a position where she could learn without being exposed to direct danger. She felt that he trusted her, that he now considered her an ally, capable of understanding his strategies and reading the intentions of others. Later, in the privacy of their villa, Lily felt the day's fatigue and tension melt away in Alexander's warmth. Their passion ignited with a new intensity, almost like a reward after the trials they had just endured together. "You were incredible today," he murmured, holding her close. "Now you understand a little better why I am so demanding, why I leave nothing to chance." Lily smiled, aware of her transformation. She was no longer simply an innocent and fascinated young woman, she had become a partner capable of standing up to the challenges of this world, while sharing a passion that burned brighter every day. But deep down, a worry persisted. Other threats would come, greater, more dangerous. And she knew she would have to be ready, because Alexander's world left no room for weakness. The tension was palpable in the villa. Alexander had just received a message that would change everything. A longtime rival, jealous of his success and determined to damage his empire, had taken steps to jeopardize one of his most important businesses. This time, the threat wasn't just professional, it directly impacted his life and Lily's. Lily, standing beside him, felt her heart clench. She understood that this world of luxury and power was not only fascinating, but also dangerous. Every decision could have irreversible consequences, and this crisis would test their strength and their bond. "Stay close to me, Lily," said Alexander in a deep voice, "that we will fight this battle together." For the first time, Lily felt that her place with Alexander wasn't merely that of an observer or a protégé. She would act, think, and contribute to confronting this threat. Together, they devised a plan to counter the attack, precise strategies, alliances, and manipulations. Lily was surprised by her own audacity, her ability to think like Alexander, to anticipate their enemies' moves. When the final confrontation arrived, Lily and Alexander were closer than ever. Every gesture, every glance, every word exchanged testified to absolute trust. And when her rival was finally neutralized, Lily understood how much she had changed. She was no longer the innocent young girl of the beginning, she had become a strong, intelligent, and courageous woman, capable of facing the challenges of Alexander's world while sharing a burning and sincere passion with him. That night, as they lay together in the warmth of their room, Lily felt the depth of their connection. Alexander looked at her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "You have become everything I hoped for, Lily, and so much more." She smiled, aware that this first year by his side was just the beginning. The challenges, the passions, and the mysteries were only just starting. But one thing was certain, together, they were invincible. And as she drifted off to sleep against him, Lily realized that her life had just changed forever. She was no longer just an innocent young woman, she was Lily Drake, and her destiny was now inextricably linked to that of the man who had changed her life in a single night.